Well, now for more in-depth analysis, we are joined by geopolitical analyst Ms. Jelena Novakov, live from Belgrade in Serbia. Thank you so much, Ms. Novakov, for joining us here on Asia One. Well, the first question goes to you. It's about the significance in Pakistan's renewed mediation effort after Asim Munir's meetings in Tehran. How would you describe that?
Well, this is the third visit of the Pakistani delegation and Munir in particular to Iran. So Pakistan has been engaged or highly engaged in this negotiation process, which is definitely something that this negotiation process needs, but it's also good for Pakistan and its diplomatic efforts around the world. Now, we know that Munir talked to Trump prior to going to Iran, and that the Iranian delegation later said that there was significant progress made during the visit of the Pakistani delegation. And now we don't know what exactly they agreed upon, but given that we've heard this statement from the Iranian delegation or the Iranian government, is that it's definitely promising. I'm not entirely sure that this visit is going to be crucial in resolving the many issues that are now obstacles to this peace process. But it's definitely significant that Pakistan is engaging and kind of driving these diplomatic efforts. We will definitely know more once we know what they talked about and what was agreed upon. But the other situations that we see, including the other countries, kind of taking more of a yes, they do say they are for the diplomatic process, but then again, kind of put pressure on Iran. Pakistan doesn't seem to be doing that, so that is kind of the key strategic advantage in this negotiations that Pakistan could have over other countries.
All right, and look, well, Iran says the U.S. must fulfill its commitments under the Islamabad MOU. Could this become the key obstacle for a new ceasefire?
I mean, of course, there are going to be obstacles. The United States don't seem to be willing to return to the memorandum, especially with Iran is not willing to back down. So again, this is why I said that diplomatic efforts can only go so far if both of these sides are unwilling to give something to the other and see this process through. Of course, the main issue now is the Strait of Hormuz, but these new sanctions that the United States have imposed or plan to announce in the future are definitely not going to help this process. But then again, it isn't so much about the war between the U.S. and Iran for Donald Trump. It's more about these midterm elections that are approaching. And we've seen new polls that show that the Republican Party is falling behind by 8 points to the Democratic Party.
Look, and as we just covered in our couple of stories ago, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy has called the new U.S. sanctions desperate window dressing and says Iran has gained leverage over Hormuz. And in your opinion, how significant is this criticism for within Washington?
Well, Murphy's completely right. I mean, he essentially said that the United States have lost the war. They have completely used all their military capabilities, minus the potential ground invasion, which wouldn't work in the United States' favor. And they have also put a tremendous pressure economically on Iran, but that is not going to work. And he said that as well, as long as China continues to buy Iranian oil. This is also very significant because the U.S. Treasury didn't sanction any Chinese companies or individuals, but that might still happen, though I don't expect it to happen. So this is more of a show for Republican voters, I would say, than it's going to achieve anything to put additional economic pressure on Iran. Because yes, Iran is struggling economically. That is beyond any doubt. But as long as it does have trade partners that the Treasury said they are going to sanction, but I don't expect that to happen, or at least it's not going to happen immediately. They also said that they're going to give time to any future sanctioned individuals or companies to adjust. So Iran is not going to be impacted immediately. So it's not going to change anything regarding pushing Iran towards accepting the U.S. terms. Murphy is right. The United States have lost this war, and that was pretty obvious even when the memorandum was signed. So now it seems to me that Trump is dragging the United States into further loss that isn't going to reflect well in the midterms, and the polls show that. So the criticism of Murphy and the criticism that comes from the part of the Democrats is completely valid.
And Ms. Novakov, before I let you go, there is another point that is very interesting to discuss here in regards of this situation. Well, with Saudi Arabia and France also pushing for diplomacy, do you think we could see potentially a broader international push to end the U.S.-Iran conflict?
Well, perhaps, but not in the role that Pakistan has as a mediator. Pakistan has a very unique position in this situation, and that is why it is the best for the position of the mediator. Of course, other countries that have their own interests in the region, including Saudi Arabia, are going to call for ceasefire and peace. But it is also important to note the language that Macron and bin Salman used here. Of course, yes, they called for ceasefire and return to diplomacy, but they still put pressure on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. They oppose any kind of tolls without having called on the United States to lift the sanctions and to return to what was assigned in the memorandum, which seems to be crucial here if the United States is willing to actually negotiate the end of this war.
Right, we had just Ms. Jelena Novakov live from Belgrade in Serbia talking to us here in Asia. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.